You sound like Chocula.
I thought that was the point.
Well, I was just laughing because I thought it was funny.
Oh, well.
But, ta-da, spook-tober. I mean, you can't see anything yet, but that's the surprise.
You can't see it now, yeah.
That's the
I don't even know what it looks like.
It's something. But yeah, let's kick off Spooktober the right
Even though
way.
it's still technically September still.
It's coming October. Ta-da!
Ta-da! Oh my god.
Boom. Boom. And yeah. Ta-da! Don't worry, this won't be on every single episode. This is wow. What are you saying?
I'm just saying, it hurts my eyes to look at.
About my filter work, how dare you? Well, it's because your side is so white.
Well, listen, man.
So it can only turn so much, but you know what? It's fine. I think mine's better. I think Jeff looks like a crazed killer.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, my little
your frog
looks
inverted
human.
and terrifying for a reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I mean, it's hard to make Minecraft stuff show up. But anyways, welcome to the pod.
Deep breath in.
Oh, look, it's
Deep
Mikey.
breath. Hi, Mikey.
Oh, Mikey. If only you knew. But yeah, so this is kicking off. The music is scaring me. This is kicking off our month of Spooktober, where every preceding pod until the end of October is going to be spooky themed. Oh.
Ooh.
And so, we're starting today with SCPs, which is funny considering not all of them are spooky, but you know what? I figured they could get into a spooky territory.
I picked out specifically a few that I thought were spooky.
I was reading one last night that was actually freaking me out.
Did you include it in your list?
I don't remember. I would have to look. I have all of the links up and everything already, so it'll be discovery. But I know that for a fact, because of how some of the names are, I want to make sure I get the names too, because of how funny they are. But
That's fair.
anyways, before we cover SCPs and explain all of that mess, weekly obsessions.
Am I going first?
Yes.
Well, I mean, other than Pixelmon, which I already talked about last week, romance has been my...
Is that why?
literally, because I joined a dating app. I joined a dating app targeted towards queer women. And so I've had quite a few interesting interactions already.
Romance.
Romance. That's the only way I can describe it.
Love struck Sims back. Well,
but specifically, some of the interactions I've had were this one very overzealous person who I don't know what to do with, because we only talked for like 2 days, and then they're telling me that they wish they had succeeded in their attempt at offing themselves, and I'm like, what do I say to this?
well,
And then another person who I matched with, and I thought we were getting along really well, and then I mentioned I was a virgin, and they immediately blocked me. So I added to my bio specifically, virgin, if you have expectations, don't.
well, that's hashtag dating core.
So now I might be going to Tampa on Saturday for a date. We'll see. But I think I just confirmed I have a date tomorrow with that same person.
Oh God, you're gonna have two?
Well, we're gonna have at least one, because I don't know if I can go to the one on Saturday.
Everything's complicated.
And we'll see how we get along. I have a knife, Mikey. I will bring my knife.
Yes, but Sarah has also stabbed herself before.
If I can stab
With her
myself, I can
knives.
stab another person. But we're going to a Pokemon like get together at a comic place. So we're going somewhere public.
That is such a nerdy thing.
I specifically asked, I was like, hey, do you like Pokemon? And they responded yes. And so I was like,
And it all went downhill from there.
If you wanna meet like in a neutral area that's not an hour and a half away, and there's Pokemon thing tomorrow, and they were like, sure. And so now we're meeting there.
And this is when Sarah gets murdered, and I have to tell you all why she's not here anymore.
No.
You hope.
It's gonna be in a public place.
People can die in public. It's always a possibility.
At least there'll be plenty of witnesses.
Well, it means nothing if you're dead. But my weekly obsession is not romance. My weekly obsession, left field, journaling.
Really?
Yes, because let me tell you. Tell you
to journal?
To be fair, I've been told to journal for a lot of things, but I've only started taking it seriously within the past couple of weeks.
Wow.
And I have been not doing anything. I haven't been doing like diary entries in the sense of like I've been writing at the end of every day. I've been writing things that happen and my feelings when they happen, and I just write it down. And for me personally, I find that when I write that stuff down immediately and I like get it out of my system, I don't think about it anymore, which helps me.
It's a legitimate strategy.
Because then I don't have to think about anything like that, and then if I need to reference it or anything, I pull it up later. And so that's been helpful within the past couple of weeks because I've just been writing down a bunch of stuff. And yeah, so very random. Well, Mikey, I'm in therapy. We both are. Like,
it's true. We'll have a therapy episode eventually.
That could go all kinds of places. Ooh, we should give someone a therapy session.
No, we're not qualified.
I didn't say we were qualified. But anyways, okay. Moving on to the topic at hand. We have SCPs. Let's see. I'll get it eventually. Ahaha.
About the scam. Yoshi wants us to talk about the scammer in the bathroom.
Oh, well, that's up to you.
We went to Cheddar's, if anyone knows what Cheddar's is, on Friday. And I went to the bathroom, and while I'm in the bathroom, there's this lady who looks like she works there, and she's on the phone, and I'm just doing my business, and I just hear her saying, like, I gave you $2,000 in gift cards. What do you mean you haven't been paid? Stuff like that. I already gave you the money and everything like that. And I'm just sitting here like, uh-oh. And so I leave my stall to like wash my hands and everything. And she apologizes to me because she's like, I'm sorry you have to hear about this. And I'm like, it's okay. I think you got scammed. And I didn't really understand what she said in response, but I was like, I just left it. I'm like, I can't help you there, man. You're too deep. And
then she revealed that she was the one scamming her.
No.
Also, yeah, I forgot that Cheddar's had croissants until we were there. And then the croissants were extremely wet. They were
I did not have them.
The croissants themselves, they weren't bad. They tasted pretty good, but they had a lot of that sweet butter stuff on it. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot. But yeah,
that's why I didn't have
Mikey would be a credit card. Mikey, yes. Honestly, Mikey
is a credit card.
I can see that. Also, hi Faye. I'm assuming it's Faye because Lord knows Kester would use her own account. Get on your right account. But yeah, that's how Scara. Scara, is that your name for Halloween? Scara. Oh my gosh. What would my name be? There's not a lot of good puns for mine.
No.
Scara and Quizboo.
I thought it was like Quiz-tober. But that just
Quober.
That's all. Quober.
I don't think that's better.
Query time.
Query time? What?
Query talk.
Query talk. That just sounds. No, that sounds like a coding thing. Like queries. But anyways, okay. On to what we're actually doing. Faye, we're not talking about fanfic. We already talked about fanfic. That's a separate time. We can make that a separate episode. No, today we're talking about
Have a Kinktober one.
the SCP Foundation. We're not doing Kinktober.
I'm just saying.
You should do Kinktober by yourself. You're in the mood for romance. So, SCP Foundation. I made notes. I was prepared this time. I know, right, Faye? You don't know what that is. Aren't you wondering what it is?
Ooh.
I love when I'm prepared because then I can hold it over people. So, the SCP Foundation. SCP stands for both Special Containment Procedures as well as the organization's motto, Secure, Contain, and Protect. And it is a collaborative writing project that spans over many different accounts and languages. And it all is fictional. Nothing about this is real. No, don't say obviously. Some people think this is real. Some people genuinely think this is real.
I feel bad for those people.
It's mostly children. Let's be real. It's the same children that think that Jeff the Killer's real, which, spoiler. Not spoiler that he's real, but spoiler for a future episode. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know, man. Anyway, so, Sarah's going on a date with Jeff the Killer.
I'm not.
But yeah. Anyway, so basically, it's an all-encompassing term, the SCP Foundation / SCP, for the fictional universe that contains all of the stories and entries that exist on the website, on specifically the official wiki.website website.
Hey, do say that I am lucky for going on a date with Jeff the Killer.
Well, she's into some stuff.
Not my type.
No, I'm talking about Faye.
No, I know. I'm saying he's not my type.
He's someone else. To be fair, he doesn't have long white hair, so I don't know if he's Faye's type either, but murderous maybe. Basically, all of the works, no, not Kinktober, all of the works that are published onto the SCP website are known for being very high standard of quality because they typically all go through a multi-step draft vetting critiquing procedure. All community driven by everyone that has been doing stuff there, or people that quote unquote volunteer there and everything. And it's specifically just to make sure that all of it's up to a specific standard, which I'll get into why later, to the point where every single member of the website is given the editing permissions to actually change entries, but specifically for like spelling, punctuation, and grammar, not like the actual entries themselves, because that'll get you in trouble. But yeah. So, the history of the SCP Foundation is that it originally started as a post on the paranormal subforum of 4chan.
Of course.
In June of 2007. And the first SCP, SCP-173, which we'll get to later. Sarah probably already knows what it is.
I think I know which one that is.
It's the statue that kills you.
Yeah.
That is where it started by a person, I'm pretty sure, what was his name? His name was Wesley Williams. He's the first one that ever posted something, and it was on 4chan, and it was in this format of like containment procedures, description of the anomalous thing, all that stuff. And basically, after it was initially posted on the paranormal 4chan forum, multiple copycat posts followed it after the fact and started doing it in the same format that the original poster did it in, and it eventually started getting so many things that a standalone wiki was created for it in January of 2008 on the Edit This wiki service. But at this point, there was no mods, there was no organization. It was kind of just to put all of the stories in one place. And so eventually, they moved in July of 2008 to Wikidot, which was a separate hosting platform because the Edit This one became a paid service, and so they didn't want to have to pay anything. And unknowingly, because of how the Wikidot thing happened, they technically sealed the copyright for all SCP stuff in their creative claims because of how it works with Wikidot. So that's why no one can actually do anything legally, unless they ask permission and all that stuff. And I think by 2009, the amount of like entries that were unedited and not great quality kind of started to build up, and it resulted in like this mass edit / culling from September to December of 2009 that decommissioned like more than half of the entries that were there because of like how poorly written they were. And that's what ended up leading to the really high standards and multi-step like draft process and critiquing processes that they have now to have like a better standard of what gets posted in the future. And they specifically go by a voting system of if you get minus 10 negative votes, it's kind of like Reddit in that sense where you can upvote and downvote stories. If you get minus 10, you are on the chopping block and your story will be deleted soon. But there's a lot of entries at this point, and all of them are relatively within the same parameters. But I think
there's over 8,000
right now, and that's the thing. Right. And not all of them are fully filled up, because I know even in the 7,000 range there are some free spaces. But even then, all of the ones before 7,000 are completely filled up.
Yeah. And
so that's like over 6,000 entries and stuff. So there's a lot, and all of them vary in how they're formatted because, like I said, it's a collaborative writing project. So literally, I mean, you can have like one author do multiple different entries, but typically because of how many people do like only a few entries, all of the ways that it's conveyed is varied by a lot of different factors, which I'll show you because some of them are unique and cool and interesting. But yeah. And there's eventually there was like a really big boom in how many people actually got onto the forum after the SCP containment breach came out in 2012. If any of you remember that. That's the SCP-173 in that game that initially starts it all. And so destructive tips, I don't know. Mikey, I don't know all the lore. I just know what I know. And what I know is limited, but not all-encompassing. And basically, all of the genres that are covered within the SCP lore span from anywhere from like horror to urban fantasy, science fiction, paranormal supernatural stuff, apocalyptic settings, and eldritch Lovecraftian themes. Like, it varies and it's crazy. And there's even some like there's wholesome ones, and then there's terrifying ones that like end the world. Like, there's a very, very big variety essentially in how it's written, what it's written about, and all that stuff. And yeah. Well, you know, I'm happy for you, Mikey. I'm happy that you have a potato that loves you for once in your life. But yeah, so on this website, essentially, there are thousands upon thousands of entries. So if you look here, like this is just from the 3rd series, because they each have a series of archives. So like there's the first one that goes from 1 to 99 and onwards and stuff. And they all have names. Like this one's called Cyborg Child. This one's called Spy Ferns. Like they're all very weird too.
Some of them are a lot less serious than others. But
there's a lot of joke ones. There's a lot of like just funny ones, because it doesn't need to be like serious and terrifying to be an SCP. It just has to be odd, kind of
anomalous.
And like there's all kinds of things. Like look, a death pen, Sarah's dream, 1555 bug bash. Like I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff on here, and it's crazy, you know. And so basically, if I go all the way back to the beginning, I want to cover some of the thingies. So as I said, the entire SCP Foundation is basically an amalgamation of a community, word vomiting, in pristine condition. And with that, because they've all kind of tacked on to the lore of the in-universe stuff, it's become sort of this, there's like rules and stuff, and there's certain things that are generally accepted as like canon in the SCP lore, even though it's not like official, because I don't think there's official stuff considering it's community made. But there's like unofficial, official canon related things that everyone references as if they're canon, so they're just considered canon. So one of the things that I wanted to cover is the security clearance levels, because this is so confusing to me, but also everything you can think of to find when it comes to like writing stuff, not even like just writing SCP stuff, just writing tips in general, you can find it on this website. Like, this website is actually crazy. I went into a deep dive last night and I got lost. But
well,
basically, there are multiple different levels of clearance, as well as multiple different classes of personnel that work/exist on the containment sites, of which there are multiple that exist within different places of the world. And there's also different roles. Also, MTF does not stand for male to female. MTF stands for Mobile Task Force. I had to learn that the hard way when I was very confused. But basically, whenever you see any entries, typically there's going to be some kind of scientists or researchers that are conducting experiments on these things with Class D personnel, which are basically prisoners from death row.
Yeah.
And they're basically made to be the guinea pigs in every single case. So a lot of the times you'll see like, oh, this is a really dangerous object that melts people's skin off. Go in Class D number 1557 to like see what happens for prolonged exposure to the skin melting object. So that's basically all you need to know at a glance, is that Class D is test subjects. I would explain it like Portal, but not everyone knows Portal, as I learned from Shinny. And then like anyone Class C and above, I would say are like people that actually work at the facility. And then all of their titles and stuff is separate. And there's like mobile task force that are used to like deploy in certain areas and all that stuff, which is separate. But that's all you really need to know. And plus, if you're ever curious about this website and you just go onto a page, typically if you see the little highlight of a cross link for something and you go to it, it'll explain what it is and how it pertains to the story. Shinny doesn't know a lot of things, Mikey. I don't know how to explain that to you. Like, every day I wonder how Shinny exists in this world, and I'm amazed that she's existed for this long without knowing that much. But anyways.
I would recommend, so there's also like the threat levels for each thing.
Let me see if I can find the threat levels. It's probably on this page somewhere.
Object class. It's under object class.
Ha ha ha. Found. Oh, nope, don't say that. Dear God. Ta-da! These are, funnily enough, I thought originally that they were specifically made to be whether or not the object itself is dangerous, but it's actually just the difficulty on which it is to contain it.
Okay.
So like, just because something's keter doesn't mean that it's like evil, but it means that it can just like phase out of existence or something. Like, whereas I'm pretty sure the secondary classes, I think these are made for like specific cases of how to contain something. Because generally speaking, I don't think, unless you like see a specific tag for it, that it tells you whether or not it's super dangerous or anything. You kind of have to ascertain that yourself, I guess. But the main ones that you'll definitely see a lot are the Safe, Euclid, and Keter, which change whether or not it's contained properly. and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's contained in a facility, because sometimes it's like entire buildings that are like an object of an anomaly or something,
or like a backyard.
Which, to some extent, like, if it's just staying in one place, typically they're considered, like, safe just because you can set up, like, a perimeter and stuff and make sure no one goes in there. But Euclid is typically things that that require more, like, procedures, so to speak. Like, safe, I imagine, is, like, you can lock it in an actual safe, and it's pretty fine. Whereas Euclid, it might have to be a particular kind of safe. And then Keter is, if you lock it in a safe, it'll teleport next to the safe. Like, you have to take that into account. But yeah, and literally also every other post that is within these entries and stuff is tagged by these, by whether or not they're like info hazards, by what kind of anomalies they are. There's like a rigorous tagging process that is involved in all of it. So, and again, that just goes to show the amount of community members that are just doing so much in this. But yeah. So, and then these are just classes for like whether or not something is explained, I guess.
Whether or not the story has been concluded.
Plus, also, to some extent, I feel like that's what a lot of the explained ones are, because I'm pretty sure explained SCPs are literally just not even considered SCPs, because the whole reason that you would be considered one is if you're still an anomaly that can't be fathomed properly, which is why they do the research and everything, because that's what gets them in explained, which there's a whole list of explained SCPs already. And then neutralized ones are ones that aren't really anomalies anymore, either because they were broken intentionally
Killed,
or somehow contained to the fact of just not working anymore. Decommissioned are the intentionally destroyed, specifically from the Foundation itself. And then all of the pending ones are typically the ones that in universe are like haven't been assigned an object class, but out of universe it's typically the ones that have just been posted and are pending whether or not they're going to stay on the website. And then uncontained, because sometimes it can't be contained.
I picked out a few that, and one is like, it's one of the more popular ones apparently according to the website, but it's technically neutralized.
So yeah, and look, here's a locked, look, they have a test for it. If you lock it in a box, leave it alone, and nothing bad will happen, then it's probably safe. If you lock it in a box, leave it alone, and you're not entirely sure what will happen, then it's probably Euclid. If you lock it in a box, leave it alone, and it easily escapes, then it's probably Keter. If it is the box, then it probably is Thaumiel. But yeah, so this also helps a lot in writing the actual entries too. Like, they have so many resources when it comes to like using references to writing actual entries. Because of the whole high quality thing, they're like, here are all the resources that you might need to like reference. And so this is just one of many very in-depth pages. But yeah, so it's crazy.
I love how Shini appears after we've gone through the explanation part.
It's okay. I would say she'll watch it, but she won't. She doesn't need to know about that. But yeah. Because like required reading is just like general rules and stuff. The staff information also has to do with like policies of criticism and deletion. But then the community navigation is to help get around. The writing guides are very in depth. Like, you have a lot of stuff. Oh look, hi Antony. So
in a way, it is kind of like a gigantic
it's a giant fan fiction website essentially.
It's a giant like kind of
it's
like
a self-made fan fiction website.
Growing like role play, basically.
Because the only reason that it's even kept going to this day is because there are people that still love it and dedicate a lot of time to keeping it the way it is. But yeah. Shini, we know. It's okay. Everything's fine. Let me look at my notes again. So I can use the first ever SCP entry. At least I'm pretty sure this is considered the first ever SCP entry, so don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it is. This isn't what I'm looking for. Ha ha ha. What just happened? Okay. Everything's fine. Shh. Okay, this SCP-173. Very simple. As you can tell, almost 10,000 upvotes. Very popular. Pretty much the first SCP. All that stuff. So this can help tell you kind of, this is like baseline for what you typically see in SCP entries, but it's a guideline, but it's not the rule, because you'll see a lot of entries like deviate from this in ways, which makes it fun.
Yeah.
Because then it's like more creative stuff. So basically, it'll have its name. I don't remember what it's called. I wish this website would have the name that it says for it too in this page, but it doesn't. I can always find it, but SCP-173, the special containment procedures are: SCP-173 is to be kept in a locked container at all times. When personnel must enter SCP-173's container, no fewer than 3 may enter at a time, and the door is to be relocked behind them. At all times, 2 persons must maintain direct eye contact with SCP-173 until all personnel have vacated and relocked the container.
The sculpture is what it comes up.
And then the description tells you what it's like. And typically anything that might have happened, because there's also like, this is basis of things that are typically in it, but then there's also additives of like, maybe there's been experiments, maybe there's logs of past incidences that have happened relating to this SCP. Also, fun little fact, because I took notes, the SCPs are also nicknamed Skips.
Oh,
because it's SCP. So basically, as its description, it says it was moved to Site It was moved to Site 19 in 1993 in universe. Origin is as of yet unknown. It is constructed from concrete and rebar with traces of Krylon brand spray paint. SCP-173 is animate and extremely hostile. The object cannot move while within direct line of sight. Line of sight must not be broken at any time with SCP-173. Personnel assigned to enter the container are instructed to alert one another before blinking. Object is reported to attack by snapping the neck at the base of the skull or by strangulation. In an event of attack, personnel are to observe Class 4 hazardous object containment procedures, which you can find on this website as to what that means. Personnel report sounds of scraping stone originating from within the container when no one is present inside. This is considered normal, and any change in this behavior should be reported to the acting HMCL supervisor on duty. The reddish-brown substance on the floor is a combination of feces and blood. Origin of these materials is unknown. The enclosure must be cleaned on a bi-weekly basis, probably by Class D personnel.
Probably, yeah.
So yeah. It's not even just the most known. This is like the first SCP. Like, this is the origin. This is the 4chan. Like, this is what was adopted from the 4chan to the edit site to the wiki.dot. So yeah, this is what this one's called. I'm debating whether or not I kind of want to, I think I'm going to pull up a separate Chrome tab because I want to look. Oh, nope, not what I'm going to do. Because I want to look at what they're called, the ones that I have.
I know which one's 3,000.
But yeah, and there's a lot of cool ones, there's a lot of unique ones, and I think that's what's most fun about it, is because it's just literally a community writing project, and because the community is like really good at what they do, it's just become kind of like this amalgamation of really, really cool and varied stories over like multiple years now at this point, considering it was like originated in like 2007. So yeah, let me look to see what mine are called. So I'll go through, let me check really quick. Also, okay, quick note, another thing, A lot of information is considered classified in universe, but the reality is that it probably doesn't exist in the first place, and it's part of the theming. Because you'll find a lot of entries that have like blacked out things or redacted things, of which that probably was never meant to be found out in the first place. And there's no like official role plays that I know of.
There are tales, there are canon like stories.
There are stories, but there's no official role plays or stuff that are set up by the actual community itself. So if anyone's role playing, that's just for their own benefit. Yeah. Looking at you, Sarah.
I've never role played it.
No, I'm talking about that one time that we did that whole thing.
Yeah.
But contradictory information that's on the website is typically to be taken as both a byproduct of it being a collaborative writing project, because, you know, that many authors, obviously not everything's something ain't right. Like, it's not always going to be the same. But as well as the in-universe explanation of, like, the organization likes to make things up to throw people off from knowing what's real and what isn't. And technically, anyone, regardless of account, I'm pretty sure, like, you can post an SCP, but it's probably going to be taken down. Like, because it's highly advised that you go through the multi-step process of like the idea critique board, and then you have to get it greenlit to the draft forums, to which then you post it onto the sandbox site and you get it critiqued on the draft critique board, and then depending on that is when you can post and see if you get enough downvotes or upvotes for it to stay up on the website. So like, it is a whole process to writing these things. Like, I know for a fact, if I were to ever write one, I would probably just end up co-writing it with Sarah, and then we would just write one. And that would be our magnum opus of, like, trying to get it perfect. Yeah. Because it's crazy the amount of hoops that you jump through to make sure it's nice. But yeah. So, that's all my notes. And let's get into some fun SCPs that I saved. So, let's see. I'll start with one, and then Sarah can do one. Let's see what this one is. Ah, yes. Okay. This is SCP-1347. Let me look it up to make sure I have the name for it. Let's see. 1437. It is called... Is that really what it's called? 1347, that's what I'm like. I don't remember that. Okay. It's called A Box Full of Questions. So in case you're wondering what it is, it's a box full of questions. I won't read the entire thing. I'll just go over it briefly. But essentially, it's a box. A pine box, if you will. And it has a lid on it. And there's a slit in one side where you can put a card in, an inquiry, and it's basically a question box that if you ask it a question and it knows the answer to some degree, it'll give you its answer. But if it doesn't know the answer, it conducts an experiment that bends reality to try and get the best answer it can get. So, like, one of the incidences is, like, there's two types, essentially. The type A is if it knows the answer and it gives you it, and then the type B is when it conducts an experiment and gives you the answer based off of that. So, like, for one of the inquiries, they asked, what's good for dinner? And a type A event happened, and it replied with, you're asking a box about dining. I think tomato stew would be your best bet. And then it said that the members that consumed the tomato stew that evening indicated higher levels of satisfaction on average. Versus type B, where they asked it, how can we obtain an unlimited source of energy? And then an undisclosed location was incinerated by an explosion that continued for an entire week. That measured an extreme amount of energy, except it was contained within a 40-kilometer diameter, and it didn't move past that. And then after the 7 days, the box spit out a reply that said, I got really close, but I doubt it's actually possible. I'll think on it some more and maybe try again if you ask in the future. And then that's when they classified it as a terrifying thing. Because they're like, oh, it can like do things. But I thought that was interesting.
There's one here that said like, how good is this person in bed? And it caused her to specifically spend the night with someone over emotional distress. And then the person she slept with had no recollection of it. But Dr. Ash, who was the one who was asked how good they were in bed, remembered it.
And then the box just said that she's warm. And her skin's soft. It takes questions very literally, which is slightly terrifying, but it's weird. I thought it was interesting because then they also asked about how poverty could be solved and it committed like mass genocide. Like, it was interesting because if it doesn't know, it's gonna try to know to possibly horrifying extent. And you know, what's more interesting than that? Okay, Sarah, which one do you want me to cover of yours?
Let's do the most common one.
You have to tell me the number.
One.
Oh, that one.
Favorite. Yeah, that one doesn't have a number.
I mean, it has a number.
2521. 2521.
Let me get to it because I have it on here. Haha. This one's perfect because we don't have to explain anything except how we think we know how it works. Go on, Sarah. You can explain this one.
Basically, creature of unknown origin and unknown exactly what it is. Yes, that thing. Weird ribbon man. If you talk about him, he takes you because he loves hearing about himself. You write something down about him, he takes it because he loves reading about himself. Digitally, actually like written things, and it can go through walls. So it was like tested and everything. And that's kind of, so the way they documented it was by doing pictures because it can't understand pictures.
Which is funny, but weird. But yeah, and also, basically the way that it's described, first of all, I'm pretty sure the K means Keter, because, you know, you can't really contain that. But then it's like all the information about it can only be contained within actual pictographs and stuff. It can't be written about, it can't be documented anywhere and saved somewhere, and it can't be spoken about. Oops. And the information can't be given to level 0, 1, 2, or 3 working class within the actual facility. Only level 4s and 05s can actually know about it because it's an info hazard, so if you know about it, that's bad. It apparently has sticky tentacles.
Yeah. Okay, go through walls. It'll just appear.
It's just there. It's just you can't really contain it. And they did the experiments where they're like, to the Class D personnel, write what you see down. They wrote it, it took it, they were scarred for life. Then they say, speak what you see down. They spoke, they were taken, they were dead for life. And yeah, I think this one has like over 6,000 upvotes, so it's really, really good. Shani, we explained a bunch in the beginning, you just weren't here.
It's your fault for being late.
Ooh, I know one I want to do. Hold on, I have to find the name for it though, because it's hilarious. I don't remember which one it is. I wish there was a search. Not tag search, but like a search, you know? Well, there is a search. I don't know if it works,
there is
though.
A search.
No. Oh, no, never mind. I found it. Okay, it's SCP-2331, and it's called the Scrave Crow.
I'm sorry?
It's called the Scrave Crow. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. We'll get to this. We'll get to this. If I can actually get to it, dear God. Hello? There we go. You saw Pokemon, right? Here, Scrave Crow. So, literally, footnotes version of this is it is a scarecrow that appears around October, and it somehow makes raves happen where it's the DJ. Like, that's it. It provides candy, it provides drinks, lights, like it makes a whole DJ set happen, and it is the disc jockey. Like, that is it. And a lot of people somehow learn about it, somehow it's advertised. The raves can last anywhere from 5 to 24 hours, and then it disappears, and so does everything around the rave. And yeah, it's most active around Halloween time. So if you want to, look for your local Scrave Crow and have a fun time, because he'll give you candy. And I thought it was fitting for Halloween.
Yeah, that's one of the cute ones.
There's a lot. There was another wholesome one that I found that was literally, I don't remember what it was called. I could probably find it if I looked it up. But oh no, I remember what the title of it was called. It was called Press X to Bear. And it was literally a fake, you know what, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up because I want to find it. It's this one. It's a bear. And it's on a basically faux Nintendo Game Boy Advance that has a microphone attached to it, no game cartridge slot, a USB port on the side, and it's branded as the Ninfrendo Game Bear Advice. And I thought that was funny because literally he just talks to you. He talks to you, and he talks in a very simple way but a nice way. And if he has like 3 animations that play that make things happen around, like if he's snoring or like sleeping, then everything around within a 40 centimeter radius is completely silent for like 6 to 8 hours. Or like if he starts vibrating, the entirety of the objects near him start vibrating. It's very confusing, but he's a very nice bear. He's an Ninfrendo bear, if you will.
Aww.
And, you know, I just thought he was cute. There's a lot of wholesome ones, as much as there's horrifying ones.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think Antony means Clippy, but Clippy is Devil Spawn, and I would not like to hear his name mentioned again. Okay, Sarah, pick another one. She can't decide now.
I was muted.
Great.
SCP-8963. I can't find a name for it, so you just have to go through that one.
I can find the name for it. SCP-8963.
I like this because it kind of has a story to it. This is the one that's neutralized.
Okay, I think... Is it called the Inside Job?
Oh, that would make sense. So it's a small tabletop architectural model of the World Trade Center before 9/11.
Let me get to it. 8963. It's really up there. Don't look at the time pervert one. Also, as you can see, the access denied things, these are just where entries haven't been filled in by people.
Yeah.
8963. Yeah, it's called Inside Job. That's another thing that I've noticed a lot within later entries. They like switching up the layout for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think you're allowed to do as the poster, but it's very confusing.
Well, one of the other ones that I really liked does it too, and I like the way it does it. But basically, 8963 is a small like model of the World Trade Center before 9/11 and everything, with a plaque near the base of it that says "Fix this." And what it does is it causes temporal displacements, and it pulls someone randomly from the events of before 9/11, and basically the person who was assigned to research it was basically said, like, okay, if you directly describe the events of 9/11 or anything, it will immediately send whoever it pulled back to where he came from. It does, as far as they can tell, it causes no paradoxes or anything, but the idea is to try to influence so 9/11 doesn't happen.
And look how that turned out.
So it's like at one point Ronald Reagan gets pulled.
Sure.
And he tried to intimidate Dr. Monroe, the person who was doing the investigation and everything, thinking that, oh, this is all a ploy by the Soviets. And then
It would be.
And then he got sent back. Nothing changed. Someone from, where is it? Someone from 1557.
1557. How is
From
that
in
supposed to
Paris.
help?
Got pulled in. And so literally it says, the information conveyed was subject was instructed to include specific details in a future quatrain publication in which information regarding the September 11th attacks would be more apparent to contemporary individuals with knowledge of specific and relevant terminologies, while avoiding a full information breach in the interim.
And look where that
And
landed us.
while nothing happened, they did apparently find something that prophesized the main researcher's Nissan Sentra getting stolen.
What?
Yeah. Unclear how it links to another SCP, but I couldn't find how it was related.
That's another thing. Oh my gosh. There's whole procedures for cross-linking and stuff, but a lot of the times you'll see like really experienced writers for this that make a lot of entries. They'll cross-link with other entries of other authors. Mm-hmm. And they'll like connect them all, and sometimes they'll even have it like obviously with permission from the other author of like what happens if there's experiments between the two or something. And it's just even more part of the collaborative writing thing that I think is really cool. Let's look at my keys.
Hold on. I want to talk about the ending of this one.
Well, tell me the ending. You said the Nissan was stolen.
Yeah, no, the ending is that eventually the son of Muhammad al-Kantani from 1404 and from the year 1404 was pulled, and the subject was given detailed information on historical events that built up to September 11th attacks from their provided date of origin, possible avenues for altering formative historical events that would be feasible for their background as a 15th century merchant. Apparently it was the most successful information that was given, and there was nothing that specifically triggered them being sent back, but they did get sent back, and since then no anomalous activity has been reported, but there was also no change in history, so it was very unclear what happened.
Doesn't it kind of make you think that maybe it's like separate universe timelines or something?
That's what I think, but it's unclear. Also, it should be mentioned in the SCP universe, Delta T is the time travel part of the organization.
Yeah, there's a lot of specialty places in like task force and stuff, which again covered in like the entire writing resources thing. So like if you ever wanted to know more in depth, not you, Shinny, I'm just saying, I know you don't, but it's very in depth, and you could very easily find any stuff you're looking for in the information. Okay, let's find Mikey's one that he said is cool. 5391.
I just put it into the URL, you know.
Anastasis. Yeah, but I wanted to read the name.
Ah.
See, look, this is what we're talking about when it's a completely different layout. Information. So basically, this is everyone needs to learn about this. So that's good. Yeah. Entities collectively refer to both SCP-53911 and their individual designations. Gigafauna.
Gigafauna?
Gigafauna.
Seismic events, including. This
Exactly,
is why we pick specific one like these,
Mikey, because I don't
what's going on.
understand. There's so much reading. That's the other thing. If you don't like reading, SCP is not for you because there's so much reading in this. And a lot of very big confusing words. Like, because you're supposed to use like actual scientific words because it makes sense in the universe, but that's what also makes it very confusing sometimes because you're like, what does that mean? However, I would like to point out that the SCP Foundation has many different language forums, specifically of translated pages and stuff, which I thought was really cool, that they have a bunch of like international forums. Wow. I was about to say, this doesn't look like Time Police. This is Gigafauna. Well, you lost your chance, Mikey. You had one chance to wow us and you screwed it up. Well, look, these are all the languages that they translate things into: Russian, Korean, Chinese, French, Polish, Spanish, Thai, Japanese, German, Italian, Ukrainian, Portuguese, Czech, traditional Chinese, Vietnamese, and other stuff. And so all of the international collaborations are typically ones that have multiple translations for the same SCP. But yeah. Let me see which one I know one that I want to cover. I know one that I want to cover. Let's see.
Just it when you need them.
This is the Pine Box.
In your chat.
Shh, not the bots. It's okay, because I know Faye won't do her job.
I don't think I'm a mod on your stream, so I can't do anything about it either.
I swear you were, but I don't know. Okay, so this is the Pine Box. Gone. This was this. Gone. Oh right, I love this one. This one's called "Who Killed Your Dog?"
What?
This one was so funny to me because of how random it was and how much I thought this would be hilarious to do with Kester, but also horrible. Okay, so literally this is SCP-3795. It's literally called "Who Killed Your Dog?" Like, and basically it's a hardcover copy of the book The Genius of Dogs: How Dogs Are Smarter Than You Think by Brian Hare and Vanessa Woods. It's inert and it's typically inert and stuff, but it's physically identical to the normal non-anomalous version of the book, except that the phrase "Who killed your dog?" in capital letters has been written on the copyright page in black marker. And literally what it does is if you owned a dog and you read that out loud, you lose consciousness for like 6 hours, and when you wake up your dog is dead. This sounds bad, but I swear it's funny. And when you wake up, your dog is dead. And it's always killed by someone that's close to you. So it's either one of your friends or a relative. And then once they leave the area after killing your dog, they forget they killed your dog. And literally when you wake up, you read the message on a note that's given to you, and it says your dog is dead if you can figure out who did it. No, can you figure out who did it? So you have 24 hours, show them that you care. And then it gives you 3 different clues based off of the dog and who killed it and how they killed it. Like, when a dog was shot by a subject's mother, it listed, "How could she do this to you?" as a clue. And the person has to say it was this person who killed my dog, but they have to be like, "It was blank." And if they say it before the 24 hours, the dog comes back to life and it's revived. But if they don't, it remains dead and can't be revived after the event's concluded. And if you get the good ending, it says, "Well done, you get your dog back, enjoy, and remember, man's best friend, smiley face." And if you fail, it says, "Time is up. Sorry you missed your chance, your dog is gone now. Remember, man's best friend, frowny face." And then apparently if you give it to people that have a history of animal abuse, it just kills them.
Like, that's what I was about to say, yeah.
So I just thought this was a really funny one because I literally saw it was called Who Killed Your Dog? And I was like, excuse me? And I just thought that would be, imagine if Kester got this book. Because it says it'll
Which one would it choose?
That's the thing, it says it picks a dog at random. So, who killed your dog? But yeah, I thought that was just a really funny one that made me laugh uncontrollably last night at like 3 a.m.
It's because you were sleep deprived.
No, it's because it was, I still think it's funny. Just who killed your dog? Your dog is dead. You open up a book, it says who killed your dog, and suddenly your dog is dead once you wake up. I don't know. But yeah. So that's that. Let's move on to one of Sarah's ones.
Okay, the next ones I have are technically 2 of them because they are connected.
804 and 7804?
8804, yeah, and 7804.
Do you want me to do one first?
Do 7804 first.
Okay.
Because it's kind of the lead-in one.
Oh, I'll find it, because if I find it here, then I can show you the title of it too.
This one is it's a bit confusing to me because I don't fully understand it. But I can kind of understand how it connects to the one that I'm more interested in, which is 8804.
It's called Black Mountain Transmitter, and it's in a weird font. Font. But as you can see, also people have weird stuff when it comes to titles. Like this one's called The Duck's Destiny with Dolland. It has duck emojis, so yeah, everything's weird. See, look, this one's just simple.
Specifically, this one is just a transmitter tower. And like when they found it, there was like a skull with like headphones like fused to its head, and it was just playing this on repeat, and someone was like, don't you dare take it off, trust me, you don't want to take it off, or you don't want to hear what happened if you turned off the transmission. But it transmits something different each day. But the main thing that we are going to focus on in it is that during one of the transmissions.
Which day?
I'm looking for it.
I saw fish. I saw God. Constellation Hornet. Who killed your dog is funny. Stop shaming me for thinking it's funny. You have to admit that just random, you read a thing and suddenly your dog is dead and you have to play a game.
On Saturday.
Okay, so on Saturday, here, let's go over what it says is done. Well, does it say what happens on Saturday, or is this just the containment procedures?
I think that's just the containment procedures, but...
It says something about reflective surfaces being obstructed.
And that's one of the things that I'll get to. Specifically, on Saturday.
Let's go to Saturday. Here we go.
Broadcast begins at 6 a.m. local time. Feminine voice greets listeners with the following message. It's all based around kind of like a cult type thing. That's going on. A lot of
cult stuff is in this.
So, good morning. Today is 6. The fog rolls off the trees like a bad word, soak in the sky before the clouds blot it out and pour water down our throats. Today's broadcast is dedicated to the self. It is a day for examination and reflection. It's a day of judgment. Count your sheep and your children. Sharpen the axe. Set right your business. The clock strikes midnight and all will be forgiven at last. Walk down your halls in the dead of night. Approach your mirror and gaze at it. Trace the contours of the face and remember it well. Feel the age and the error. Do not look closely at the details. You must remember that it is not your face. The mirror reveals, but it also distorts. It has its fun. It beckons and you must laugh. This next song is made for you.
Despacito.
Then it plays a song. Listeners unanimously agree that the content of the sound is familiar but intangibly off-putting. Many recall a dream that they had in their youth where they woke in the dead of night to hear a loved one awake in another room. Upon investigating, they are distracted by a large mirror and find that their reflection hates them. And then the feminine voice comes back. The mirror grants vision of what cannot be seen, but do not submit to it. When it beckons, know that it lies, it hates you. Remember to laugh, smile, and good night. So, from there, we go to 8804.
8804. Okay, hold on. Is that what this self thing is to a link? It is! I don't know what 8804 is called, but it's a sub thing of this, you know.
8804, I like how it's done because it's done as if you are specifically going through the files, and you have the clearance to unlock most of them.
Mm-hmm.
But it follows specifically someone named, where's the name?
Greaves?
Nike Greaves. Or Nike Greaves. I think it's Nike Greaves. So, the SCP itself is a molecular genetic replication of Director Nike Greaves. So there's like a mirror, and
it's a doppelganger.
Yeah, and it's not functional. The mirror is not functional. And he specifically says there's a recording of him talking about how he had a weird dream and he hasn't had it since he was a child, about how in his dream, he woke up to the sound of his mother showering, and he went to go try and find her, and he looked in the mirror, and it wasn't himself, and then there was someone towering over him. And so then he woke up, and that was kind of the end of that thing. And then he woke up the next day with SCP-8804 lying in his bed.
Kinky.
Completely. It's alive, but it does not portray anything. It does not talk, it does not move, it doesn't do anything. And so it has been shown to be a complete replica of Nike Greaves, including they did like an autopsy on it to see like, hey, what's going on with it. And they actually were able to discover through that hey, because of exposures to other SCPs, Nike Greaves has this condition, and so they were able to treat his condition. And so because of this, they've realized, okay, we have this entire, we have this human body that we can do whatever we want to, and we can use it for good, specifically. And so they use it for a lot of hospital things. They use it for specifically trying to cure diseases, but they find out as time goes on, when Nike Greaves eventually does die, they never actually find out what it is, but when Nike Greaves dies a few years after that, they realize that because of all of the effects that Nike Greaves had gone through at his time at the SCP Foundation, he had been mutated himself, and so the SCP-8804 was no longer a good good thing to work on to treat others, because it wasn't a good base anymore. So they locked it away, and they kind of were like, okay, it's not alive or anything, so we don't do anything like that. So fast forward a few years, it's in containment and everything, and some of these other higher class officials who have access to where it's being contained decide, okay, this thing is technically alive, but it can't do anything, so we're gonna use it as stress relief. So they shoot at it, they stab it, they do a lot of awful things to it.
SCP is filled of horrible decisions.
Yes, they do a lot of awful things to it, and it becomes, and there's like this one guy who like was really against it, and it's like, you shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do this, this is awful, this is sick. And so he doesn't participate in it, but he knows what's going on, but he doesn't tell anyone. And it eventually gets to a point where this one guy is like so angry that he just, and by now the SCP's head is like barely hanging on, and he just ends up hitting the head off with a bat, and he just leaves the bat in there. And this is the first time the SCP moves, is grabbing the bat, and then the next time some people come in and are like gonna do something to it, it ends up attacking them first, and it kills them first. It drowns someone in its blood. Like, I should mention that previous to all of the abuse it had experienced, it could regenerate fairly quickly. But because of all the abuse it has been suffering over the past countless months from these people, its regeneration has pretty much been negated. and so it's going around killing, and it's trying to leave its containment, and the one who knows about everything going on, I'm assuming is watching or something, and lets it out. And so it ends up finding someone else, kills it, decapitates them, and uses it because an alarm goes off once it escapes. And so everyone in the facility is like, okay, go to your safe rooms and everything. And it holds up the head of one of the people who was abusing it, and holds it up to trick the person who let him out into letting it into its safe room. And it becomes an entire thing where he's pleading with like, hey, I let you out. I knew it was bad. I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me, basically. And it just like grabs it, and then it kind of explodes into the entire room. And like on the camera, it's described as the entire room just goes dark. Ew. And then it goes into the mirror that's in the safe room. And when the man who let it out, he's still alive, he gets up and he looks in his mirror, and he does not recognize himself, and he just knows it looks wrong. And so I think the entire thing is that it's kind of a loop more than anything, but that's where it ends. And that's all we know about it. And I thought that was really, really cool.
That's weird that it comes from the antenna broadcast. But at the same time, that's not the weirdest connection that I've seen in this.
Yeah.
There's a lot that are like vaguely connected, and then you're like, interesting. But then again, I think that also just proves to how very much in depth a bunch of things are. To like where even a small thing that you might think is just part of another story has its own like backstory and all that stuff. But yeah, that's slightly terrifying. It kind of reminded me of one that I read that I don't remember the name of, but I'm sure if I searched it, I could find it, where it was like this adaptive plum tree. I promise this is going somewhere. It's like this adaptive plum tree that they found growing out of a lamppost, and the seeds of the plum itself can be planted in literally anything, and it will grow from that thing and grow based off of what it's growing in. So like if they plant it in a stainless steel rod, the base of it will look like stainless steel, and it like might have wire mesh leaves and stuff, and then the plums themselves might be completely made of steel. And it resulted in them, because of course they test things that they shouldn't be, and they tested it by eventually putting the seeds into cow meat and like blood and stuff to get varying gross results. And then they eventually put it into the brain of a person, a dead person. I think they just put it into a dead brain. And because of it, the entirety of it started to be made up of brain tissue, and it became sentient. And then it started to attack people because they would try to like touch it or like kill it, and it would like recoil away from them compared to like any other time they planted it. It didn't do anything. And so yeah, I don't know, I just thought that was interesting. There's a lot of like very weird biological ones that I've seen. Okay, let's go to Mikey's one.
I'm on it right now. It's a long one. And
he said it's a short read. He lied. Well, Sarah's been skimming. She probably knows the entirety of what it means.
Well, it's talking to you.
5764. I swear if this is the plague doctor. 5764. There is nothing here. Well, I'm clicking it and it's living up to the name. Okay. Mikey, this isn't a short read. This is just clicking a bunch of times.
Okay, it's descriptions. SCP-5764 is an anomaly that affects this page. It gains sentience every time this page is open and loses it once the content of the article is shown. SCP-5764 is able to communicate through collapses preceding the article's content. Special containment procedures. SCP-5764 is contained within this page with no chance of containment breach. Further communication with SCP-5764 will result in termination. Do not open this article again. That is the extent of it.
How far does it go down? Oh dear God. Mikey, what is wrong with you? I'm just, I know that there was another one that I read that was like a virus that infected more than half of the SCP computer system that was sentient. And it would literally start replacing files with itself. And I thought that was interesting.
How many more do you have that you want to go through?
I have... well, I'm getting off of this page because, Mikey, you suck. I have this one. I have 6. We don't have to go to the 6th one. The last one is like this weird mini game that I thought could be interesting.
I just want to do the 2 joke ones that I found, and then those are all for me because we are at an hour and a half so far.
Okay, go for it. Tell me which numbers they are.
It's SCP-007J, so it's in the joke ones.
Now, hold on. 007J. Unidentified muffin creature?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here we are. Muffin creature.
It's a blueberry muffin, which belonged to Foundation Officer Evan. Prior to discovery of anomalous nature, Officer Evan left, and then he came back, and it was gone. And Officer Blake swears it left its crumbs on Officer Blake's face, and so they had to document that. Okay, there was something going on with his blueberry muffin, so Blake had to be placed in quarantine because he didn't eat it. So that's why it's a joke. But he clearly ate it, and he just lied and said, "This is an anomaly. Oh no, the blueberry muffin is sentient."
Wow.
And then the other one is really nothing at all. It's just 10J.
Really nothing at all.
Yeah.
10J. What Keter? I don't see any Keter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Look at this fuzzy kitty. He's not worried. Why should you worry? Ha 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 ha. Well,
there's nothing wrong. Yeah, no, this is completely an unimportant SCP.
You were 500 times more likely to be shot execution style in the back alley by this newt than harmed by SCP-110J. That's science.
Contrary to dangerous and libelous rumors, SCP-010J is not made of black holes, as that would mean we'd already be dead, right? Right, I don't think so. So you can stop worrying about it made of black holes. I said stop.
Well, that's nice.
It may or may not have tendrils.
This is us. Right now.
The people?
Yes.
Look at all the people having fun.
They look like they're
everything
terrifying.
is okay.
Okay, let's hear. Because we're close to ending it anyways, I'll pick one last one. Do you want to do the Pokemon one, or do you want to do the idle worms?
Let's do the Pokemon one.
Don't you want to do the idle worms?
What's the idle worms?
I mean, the SparkNotes version is think K-pop stans, but they're so obsessed with an idol that suddenly they sprout worms from their face, and also where genital hair grows, and the worms eventually pop out of them and begin to start looking like their favorite idols. and I think one of the things was like one of them grew an arm and started caressing his face. It was like a whole thing. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. Your dog is dead. So no, the Pokemon one, this is SCP-5254. I did it because it had Pokemon and Sarah. But it's literally, it refers to a transformation process of humans into Pokemon.
Okay.
It literally, it's like, this is the
That was the
anomalous
plot of the
transformation.
Detective Pikachu.
Well,
movie.
no, this is more like it occurs upon prolonged, extensive adornment of fashion accessories and other pieces of clothing that specifically resemble a creature's anatomy. And it's multiplied when there's multiple people in close proximity to each other. So they had like a little experiment where they made a bunch of D-class personnel wear Pikachu onesies and hold hands, and they all started to have muscle spasms, and they were coughing up yellow hair, and they were starting to like have electrical charges with each other. Some of their skin was turning yellow. Like, basically, if you have enough people dressed up like Pokemon together, they will turn into Pokemon. And the entirety of the correspondence after the fact is basically raids on Pokemon HQ, where they think that Pokemon HQ is making Pokemon in real life. And they are.
Oh my god!
In the basement, where they're like making giant, basically, groups of Pokemon together. But yeah, she's not going to a Pokemon con.
It's a Pokemon date. My god.
But yeah, Foundation agents have been embedded in the Pokemon company's infrastructure to suppress the popularity of the franchise.
It's not working.
One such operation was the release of their video game Pokemon Sword and Shield with a limited number of Pokemon, which caused outrage amongst fans in 2019. So yeah.
Oh my god! They played a part in the storytelling too.
So yeah, I just thought it was really funny because I was like, oh, they're just making Pokemon. But yeah, so I think we can end it there. I think we had a fun time, but we have plenty of SCPs if none of you want to read them, because I know Shinny doesn't want to. The only person would be Mikey. He would be the only one interested. But yeah, so that's been our first Spooktober. This was less creepy and more just kind of informative, but I promise you the next ones will be creepy, because this was dipping your worm-infested idle foot in the water.
No.
And turning yourself
Don't ever say those words to me again.
into a Pikachu, and, you know, just like killing your alter ego. So yeah. So anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I can get a Silent Hill emulator working for this upcoming Wednesday, and then possibly either this upcoming Saturday or the next Saturday. That's why it's not set in stone. I'm going to do a creepy stream with people that you might know. So yeah. Anyways, it's okay, Hide. I'll contact you later about it. Thank you all for watching, and we'll catch y'all later. Bye.
Bye.